Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3. Happy Wednesday. I appreciate you all being here. I do. Ari, we need to thank the folks because they can listen to a lot of podcasts. And specifically, I think the world is going to listen to one particular podcast today. And I'm glad there are people here listening to this one because I have a feeling if you can only pick one, it might not be us today. Are you aware of this?
What am I missing?
No. You haven't heard?
No.
Taylor Swift is going to be on the Kelsey Brothers show.
Just so you know, Andy, I know you guys know that I've lost a phone and I'm kind of in the mountains and the nearest Apple store is 2 hours away from me. That's not something that I would have known if I were fully plugged into Dallas. You know that, right? Well, maybe because it's the Kelsey Brothers. But like I cannot.
It is football adjacent, at least.
It is football adjacent. But like the Taylor Swift mania to me, as you know, could not have been more like mind-boggling. Like, and I here I'm going to say something.
Your daughter's not old enough, so she's not a Swiftie, and like mine's right in the target range, and so I've now listened to the entire discography.
Can I ask
57
you
times? Yeah.
Okay. So you have a teenage daughter. Obviously, that's going to connect. I'm going to have a teenage daughter in a few years. Hopefully, it doesn't go by fast. But you, as a person who likes music and listens to it, do you think that this woman's talent in discography warrants her being the most famous artist on the face of the planet?
Yeah.
Really?
She's very talented, lyrically very talented. Musically, she works with some very good producers. Like Jack Antonoff is fantastic. He's one of those people who knows how to write catchy songs.
Because that's the thing. She's catchy, and like there's certain things that I've heard that I've liked. I cannot understand how her music is like the most famous music on the face of the planet.
Because everything else that's being put out in general right now is utter crap. That's why.
I drove here.
Go find a band that actually plays instruments right now. It's very difficult that is getting a lot of airplay or getting tons of plays on Spotify. Like you're not going to find one.
I drove here from Dallas and I tried to be young and hip and to listen to new music and try to like discover new stuff. And it did not pan out well for me. I went back to podcasts really quickly. It's just
my 16-year-old son listens to 90s rock. If that tells you like that, that's his genre.
But yeah,
he doesn't even like new music.
Going back to the way that you opened the show, Andy, I 100% understand what you mean now, even though I did not see the news. Thank you for being here. And hopefully the people who listen to our show agree with me more than they agree with you. But anyway, if you love her, that's, everybody has their own taste. They're entitled to it.
I did that to kind of connect to what I want to talk about today in the world of college football, because Taylor Swift mania kind of dwarfs anything in college football just because it's a global star and everything. But I do think we are headed toward something similar in our little part of the world. Archmania is coming. We got a really interesting email from our friends at BetMGM. So they send us these betting insights and very interesting Heisman odds information that they sent, because look, we expect quarterbacks that are on good teams, that are on potential national title contenders, to get a lot of action when it comes to the Heisman Trophy. We expect the best players on teams that are potentially going to win the national title, whether they play quarterback or not, at least if they're a receiver or a running back. We expect them to get attention. But Arch Manning is now the favorite. He was the favorite before, but his odds have dropped even lower as more people have bet on him. So he was plus 900. He's now plus 600. And Jeremiah Smith was plus 1,300. He's now plus 1,000. Arch Manning has started 2 games. We have no idea how good he's going to be. But it's not just that the odds have dropped. The most tickets are on Arch Manning, according to BetMGM. 16.9% of the tickets of people who bet on a Heisman future, Arch Manning. Most handle, 22.8%, more than twice as much as anyone else. More than a fifth of the money that has been bet on Heisman Trophy futures at BetMGM has been bet on Arch Manning. He's, of course, the biggest liability for the book if he wins because the most people have bet on him. This is the public doing this now. He has not played Ohio State yet. So if he balls out against Ohio State, we are due for a full-on frenzy. And if he has a bad game against Ohio State, it will be like the world is ending. It's going to be utterly fascinating. I covered Tim Tebow as a beat writer and remember watching that. But that was 2006 as a freshman, 2007, his first year as a starter. Social media did not exist in the way it does now. This is a completely different animal here.
Andy, I've shared this on the show, this take, and I'll say it again. Not Tim Tebow. Arch Manning is a lock to go to New York. Like, there's no way he's not going to New York. Period.
But if he's bad,
the only way that he doesn't is if he gets hurt. He's going to New York.
What if he's bad?
It's not even a possibility, dude. It's just not.
You don't think it's possible? Okay, not even bad. Average. You don't think it's possible that he could be average?
I think that if he is average in that offense, that he will put up good enough numbers to warrant the mania. I think that he will insist upon himself. I think that when's the last time we saw, and I don't know this off the top of my head because, we vote for the Heisman and we're not supposed to gamble on it, but I don't recall anybody in the last 10 years ever being a 6-1 favorite to win the Heisman before the season started. And you're talking about during a year in which there are starting quarterbacks everywhere that have the potential and the story to get them there. The funniest thing about the Heisman Trophy, Andy, to me, and it's always true, is that the Heisman is very often won by people who aren't on these lists in August, right?
Yeah.
And if there were ever a year for a player who's not on these lists in the BetMGM insights that are sent to us, the top 5, the top 10, most likely, this is the year that somebody will fall out of the sky, and yet still Arch Manning is 6-1. Like, it's like the fun of betting on the Heisman is trying to find the long shot that's awesome in the right situation that's going to get there. 6-1, like you can get 6-1 on a baseball team losing by 2 runs in the 8th inning. Like, that's not like a huge line. And it's actually
trying to find
fun, but he's going. I was
trying to find another instance of that in the preseason, and I found I knew what year it was going to be.
What year did you go to?
2014, because the last time we had kind of a wire to wire, he wasn't the favorite, but Marcus Mariota was 6-1 preseason for the Heisman in 2014. Jameis Winston was 9-2.
Wow, really?
Yeah. No, and then the next one was Braxton Miller at 15-2, and because remember, this is pre-injury.
You have been hitting me with some info this week that's kind of knocked me back a little bit with the information there, huh? Because I don't recall Marcus Mariota being anywhere near as famous going into that year as Arch Manning.
Oh yeah, no, he had a huge 2013. I think he may have been a finalist in 2013. So that one was big, but most years it is not this. It doesn't feel like there's somebody this popular. And what's strange about this year is it's wide open. There are so many other quarterbacks in Arch Manning's situation. Like, if you're just doing it with your head and not thinking about the Manning of it all, who's to say like Dante Moore, same situation. Gunnar Stockton, same situation. We don't, Julian saying maybe not because he hasn't been named the starter yet.
Same
Obviously,
situation.
Notre Dame hasn't named one.
Same situation.
It's as soon as they name a starter, or Ty Simpson's a good example. Like, Ty Simpson has been named the starter at Alabama now. They're loaded roster-wise. Like, you probably should view him in the same vein. If he puts up halfway decent numbers, they're going to be good numbers. They're going to wind up being really good numbers because he has good teammates.
Because I think that his last name will carry the load in Arch Manning's case. Like, I think that you can't separate those two things. Like, circumstantial circumstantially, sure. Like those guys are all in the same position if you take the nameplate off the back of their jerseys. But you can't duplicate what Arch Manning brings to the table. And like the thing that we always talk about when it comes to the Heisman voters, and I think last year proved that they're probably becoming a little bit more nuanced, Andy, than they have been in the past. And I think that that's an important thing because a lot of times it's always been like quarterback with best stats on best team. And I can't stand the way that a lot of people vote, even though you can't stand the way that I vote. Arch Manning is going to be a layup vote for people who are lazy too. And I think that we underestimate how many lazy Heisman voters there are.
That's true.
You know, because I think that Texas is going to be in the SEC championship game, or at least in the playoff picture. You know, like the idea of him being bad seems impossible to me. And even average will look more fun than Quinn Ewers. Was Quinn Ewers average last year? Would you say average? Above
slightly
average?
above average.
If Arch Manning duplicates that level of play, it'll look sexier too. Like, I think that do you agree with that part of it at least? Like Quinn Ewers, like, I don't know. He had a few nice moments in you know, big games, and he has a beautiful deep ball. I've seen Quinn Ewers throw NFL throws in person before that'll make your, you know, backside pucker.
Yeah, they'll make your jaw drop. Yeah.
You know, it's Arch Manning's going to do it differently, I think. There's a reason it's 6-1, and if I were to place a bet that's 6-1 right now, I would feel pretty good about at least having an opportunity to, you know, hear his name called in New York. But like guys like DJ Lagway and Lenora Sellers and Julian Sayin and Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is when we went on Kings of the North, was a guy that somebody drafted for value because he was like 25 or 35 to 1 or something. Or was he outside of 40
to 1? He's still 20 to 1. He's like, 20 to 1 today after being named the starter.
If you want to have fun and you want to like attach yourself to somebody who has a chance to do it, then that's certainly, you know, that's certainly a nice horse to pick, you know, Alabama's quarterback, right? But like Andy, Manning.
I know.
Manning. It's going to matter. It's going to matter.
Let's not forget the history of it. You were a mere babe when this happened. But Peyton didn't win the Heisman. Charles Woodson won the Heisman in 97.
Yeah.
Producer River just said, just did and he's mad. He wasn't even born. Producer River was 10 months away from being born when Charles Woodson beat out Peyton Manning for the Heisman.
That's actually
Trophy,
crazy.
He's still mad because he's evolved for life.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Peyton Manning not winning the Heisman is not the same thing because Peyton Manning didn't exist before Peyton Manning. This is the next Manning.
And because Eli hadn't come to college yet at that point. So
the hype.
Archie Manning existed before Peyton Manning, which like you probably don't remember because you were too young. But when Peyton Manning was a freshman at Tennessee, it was a massive thing. Him showing up, he was the first person I can remember getting massive coverage as a true freshman for showing up at his new school.
Yeah. Yeah. How much of the Heisman do you think is just hype? Just boiling it down to hype.
What wasn't hype last year with Travis Hunter, I don't think, because
Travis Hunter had a lot of hype around him.
He did, but he also was doing something that we hadn't seen in 70 years. Being a good quarterback on a good team is something we've seen. So
Travis Hunter,
unless you are Cam Newton good, I don't know that it's going to be that different.
I like to play these games and trying to like get into the psyche of the average non-Andy and Ari listener college football fan. How many of those people do you think know who Dallas Wilson is? How many of those people do you think know? I'm trying to think of like who Casey
Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams played really well as a freshman in college football. I think some of those people know who Ryan Williams is.
Do you think people know who Casey Concepcion is? The average fan?
The average fan does not. Doesn't know he played at NC State. Does not know that he now plays at Texas A&M.
The thing that you have to acknowledge about Travis Hunter is that everybody knew who that was last year.
Right. Even when he played at Jackson State, everybody knew who he was because of the story. Yeah.
And I think the everybody knows who you are is a huge, huge advantage in this race.
Right. So Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, college football people know who those guys are. They're
I think more people knew who Travis Hunter was last year than people know who Drew Aller is now.
And Jeremiah Smith, I think everybody knows.
I think more people know who Jeremiah Smith is than I think know who Cade Klubnik is.
That's probably true. Oh, Ohio State has a bigger fan base. They won the national title. And Jeremiah Smith, like NFL people, NFL fans who are just trying to wish cast for their team are already wishing for Jeremiah Smith. If I were to
bet the future on the Heisman in August, and this is for August 13th, I would bet on the people that everybody knows who they are. Because when they do something, everybody sees it. When they are a part of something, everybody knows it's happening. Social media sensations that get, and I think that a lot of people believe that Travis Hunter won the Heisman last year because of that. He didn't. He won it because he backed up the hype and because he was the best overall player in the entire country last year. But you remember the discourse about him.
Yeah.
Everybody knew who he was, so half the country was resentful because they thought he won because everybody knows who he is. But I think that that's all part of it. And everybody knows who Arch Manning is. Everyone. People knew who Arch Manning was when he was in high school. He's the most high school recruit of all time, and nobody will ever be more hyped. It can never happen again because unless Tom Brady's kid comes in and is a 5-star quarterback one day, like it's not going to happen.
I was going to say that would probably do the trick.
Does Tom Brady have a son? I don't even know. So you can Google that. I have no idea.
It's interesting. I'm not a big celebrities' children kind of person.
Yeah, me neither.
So I actually feel weird Googling it now. But yeah, he has, let's see, 2 with Gisele Bündchen, including a son, and he has a son with Bridget Moynihan. So
I didn't know that he had two
sons.
Okay. Yeah, well, Bridget's tall, right?
Bridget and Gisele are very tall.
Oh yeah, I meant to say Gisele. I don't know who Bridget is. I don't know who the
Bridget Moynihan's an actress and also tall, I believe.
Never heard of that human. I'm sure she's pretty though.
So you're right. Barring Tom Brady's kid being a 5-star recruit, this will be the most hyped. And I know it makes a lot of people mad and people are sick of it. And they're like, why do you talk about this guy? He's never played. We talk about him because he's interesting. And I think this is going to be an interesting test for people because if he goes into Ohio State and plays really well, the discourse on Arch is going to be nonstop.
The thing that I think is so funny about Arch, Andy, is that the man has done absolutely nothing to draw attention to himself. Like when you think about his recruitment, when you think about him at Texas,
he creates a Twitter feed to post, "Hey, I'm going to Texas," and that was it. Like
he's done nothing for people to resent. So the fact that people resent him is also a good telling thing for the Heisman Trophy. Because if you resent somebody, there's a powerful feeling towards that person. And whatever that person does, you're going to be actively paying attention to hate, or you're going to be actively paying attention to root. And I don't know if this is a good segue to what I wrote about on Tuesday, but
it is.
This is somebody who I believe we should all be rooting for. You want me to keep telling you why? I don't know if you read the column yet.
I did read the column.
Interesting. This idea that people want Arch Manning to fail is interesting because I think the people who want Arch Manning to fail are the same people who are resentful of how much people transfer. Right?
I would say the Venn diagram of those two groups is one circle.
Almost, if not a full circle, but a circle.
Yeah.
And Arch Manning actually represents what people loved about college football. The hyped recruit who didn't draw attention to himself, put the team and the situation before him, went to a place knowing he wasn't going to play for 2 years, sat behind somebody else despite the fact that there was some argument or at least a case to be made that will be certainly talked about on this podcast in November about whether he should have played last year, kept his mouth shut, has never said anything remotely controversial, has stayed committed to learning the playbook, developing his body, being a, immaculate teammate, and sticking through what wouldn't be an easy situation, waiting his turn, and staying loyal to the program. Isn't that what everybody wants? Don't you want this person who has done it the old-fashioned way or the old school way or the way that you used to remember it in 2015 and before? Like, why would you root against that person? Like that's the person that's supposed to like show everybody like that doing it the old-fashioned way is still a good way. And I wrote a pipe dream of a column about wondering if he is successful. And he has a great year. He wins a Heisman, or he doesn't. He is Arch Manning living up to the hype, whatever that looks like. And then he is eventually a top 5 pick and finds success in the NFL, which I think
not a top 5 pick in the 2026 draft, in the 2027
and on top
draft.
of that, everything that in his career. Thank you for reminding me, Andy, about how atypical everything about this guy is. He is already expected to, whether that's rational or not, to come back for another year after this year, despite the fact he's 6-1 to win the Heisman right now. He's coming back. We think he's coming back. We don't know for sure, but we think he's coming back.
I want to remind you that Spencer Rattler was a Heisman favorite in one preseason. So let's just not.
Is he 6-1?
Go crazy. Let's go. I'll find out. You talk. You keep talking about Arch.
But what if he does all these things? He even comes back for a second year after winning the Heisman, turns his back on the NFL when he would be the surefire number 1 overall pick. Which, by the way, Andy, I've got a terrible memory. You're a
Harry, Hold on. Who do you think going into the season had lower Heisman odds? Arch Manning in 2025 or Spencer Rattler?
Are you kidding me?
2021.
Are you kidding me?
Spencer Rattler was 11-2 on August 24th, 2021 for the Heisman freaking trophy.
Well, that wasn't about Rattler. He was at Oklahoma, and he was like the next in line after the Kyler Baker parade.
Ari said nobody could do this.
Yes, you're right. You got me.
Spencer Rattler.
Hey, Andy, Walter White hands. You got me. Okay.
Wait. This gets better, by the way.
Okay.
Do you want to know who is 7-1 on the same day?
Who?
Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei.
Who, by the way, threw a dime in the preseason game. Did you see all the Florida State fans?
He did. It was
Doc Rivers, the Doc Rivers gif of like watching that. Like, where was that? That was hilarious.
It was, but yes, DJ. Remember, DJ at that point is the first year starter. He had played the one game against Notre Dame when Trevor Lawrence had COVID. 7-1.
Andy.
7-1.
You got me on the Heisman stuff. When's the last time, though? Let's get back to the Arch thing because this is interesting.
Yeah. JT Daniels was 12-1.
That's crazy.
Sorry,
12-1.
I swear.
We almost went to 12 schools. When's the last time a person would have been the number 1 overall pick in the draft and came back to school?
Matt Leinart.
Okay, so it's been 15, 20 years.
It has been a long time. Yeah. I think it, and I don't know if Matt Leinart would have been the number 1 pick in the draft because that would have been the 2005 draft. So that's when Alex Smith went number 1.
Throws for 3,500 yards and Texas makes the playoff. He's the number 1 overall pick in the draft, right? No question about it. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of really talented players out there, but like
next year's draft, yeah. See, actually, the one we think he's going to enter has Jeremiah Smith in it. So,
yeah, you know how the NFL is with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the rant I was on. It's terrible
Yes.
for River. He's gonna have to figure out a way to clip this because it's a good rant. If he wins the Heisman or gets to the playoff and turns his back on being the number 1 overall pick after doing everything you want, him to do as a high school recruit, after staying quiet, after remaining loyal, after focusing on football, after doing everything the quote unquote right way, how do other people who miss the old days of football root against that human? Is it because they just don't like
because they're mad because he has a famous last name and
they're
rich.
mad because he's already rich?
That's it. That
Like no one else in college football's rich.
Yeah,
You don't think DJ Lagway's rich?
He is. He drives a Lamborghini.
Does he?
Yes.
The car or the truck?
It's not a truck. You mean the SUV, the like mom SUV? I think it might actually be the mom SUV.
Because I know how much you hate that. I think it's funny.
I do. The Lamborghini urologist.
Urologist. It also sounds like a Yaris, which is like a crappy Toyota. I don't know if you know that.
It is called a Urus.
Yeah,
which
there
does
is a
sound
Yaris.
like a Yaris or something to do with your peeing.
I don't know what River's eating right now, but he should Google Yaris and put and put the picture of a Toyota Yaris on our screen right now.
But I agree with you that the people who want the old school version of college football back should want Arch to succeed, should want him to set that example. Now, it's interesting because I told you, and I was joking with you as you were conceiving of this column. I said, yeah, he's going to be the example for every five-star recruit whose uncles were NFL Hall of Famers. It's going to be a whole trend. But here's the thing. I've actually thought about this a little more.
And I wrote it in the column what you thought about the fact that they're already rich when they get to college. Go ahead.
So I don't think this will change the amount of movement for quarterbacks before they play. I think there will always be a bunch of quarterbacks who will go to a place, they don't play immediately, and they move. And I'll tell you why. It's not necessarily them. In a lot of cases, it's their parents. To understand, you have to understand the quarterback industrial complex, which the Mannings do not have to take part in. And so Arch could kind of be above all that. But most quarterbacks who want to play in college do have to go to all the camps. They have to have the private trainers. And obviously Arch did this too. But there is so much money sunk into a quarterback by the time you get him to that first college that mom and dad or whoever paid all that money are going, I am going to get some ROI here. If he doesn't play, why did I spend all this money?
They will be getting ROI when he gets to this senior year of high school.
The Mannings understand that. The Mannings understand that because they've already done it. They've already been successful college quarterbacks. They've already been successful NFL quarterbacks.
There are two types of recruiting parents, and you and I have both spoken to a lot of them over the years.
Yeah.
There are one which is shady as hell and doing everything they can to connive a situation to make the most money off of their kid's name, which I think are the worst type of people. I could not imagine. I've got my daughter sleeping in this room over here, and I could never imagine taking advantage of her in any way for financial gain. Right. But it happens all the time. Okay. And then there's also the parents too that think they know everything when they don't, but also mean well and want to follow a model that they think will put their kids in the best situation to succeed. And
like I said, I don't think it's the players in most of these cases. But
I wonder if the Arch Manning influence will influence the second parent I just described, which is they know everything. They know the model. Why wouldn't they want to do what the Mannings do? Especially considering the fact that the ROI that you're looking for and all the college training that you're doing throughout your high school career will be paid back in full tenfold in most cases if you ever get to a point where you need to follow the Arch Manning immediately.
Right.
Nico would have gotten all the money back.
Here's the other part of it, though, and this is where I think you actually may see it. So you and I had this discussion last week, and you mentioned it again today with Arch and what Archie said. Archie, his grandfather, told Texas Monthly that he doesn't think Arch is going to enter the draft next year, even though he's going to be eligible. He thinks he'll come back for 2026. I do think you're going to see more quarterbacks doing that, not necessarily because of Arch Manning, but because the numbers do say you tend to have a better NFL career the more college games you start. So there's that piece of it. The other piece of it is you get paid pretty well as a successful power conference quarterback right now. And I know everybody says, oh, but the NFL money is still bigger and the second contract in the NFL is so big. But think about how few quarterbacks, we're not talking about any other position, how few quarterbacks actually get the massive second contract. That number is so low that it is probably well worth staying for whatever you're going to get as a successful power conference quarterback for one more year if it gives you that much better chance of getting that second contract.
And you saw like Quinn Ewers go 6 for 18 or whatever he did in his preseason game the other day, and everybody's saying he'd be making more money in college right now. Like that's like, so like I think that if Arch Manning continues to this trajectory and they turn out to be right, especially considering the fact there's no sunken cost by passing on the NFL. But I wonder if people will be less trigger happy when it comes to transferring. And maybe they won't because people want bags and parents want bags. And I don't think you're ever going to see anything that stops anybody who's chasing a bag from chasing the bag. But if you are actually truthful in what you say, which is you are going to continue to do everything you can to pursue that second NFL contract, Arch Manning has an opportunity here to prove to everybody who's going through this moving forward that being prudent to your craft, staying in your place, waiting your turn, developing, growing your body, becoming physically mature, and staying loyal goes a long way in what NFL people are looking for in a quarterback, and that puts you in a better chance to do that. It won't be across the board, but I think maybe if you do hate this transfer happy world, I think that you should be rooting for Arch Manning. I think you should.
I think you're right. I think there's actually another quarterback you should be rooting for too. It takes a remarkable amount of self-confidence to go to a place, not play, and then not pull the ripcord and say, you know what, I'm going to stick this out, and my time's going to come. Ty Simpson at Alabama, that guy, fourth year at Alabama. He's been involved in multiple quarterback competitions, and he won this one. He could have easily left when he didn't win the competition in 2023. He stayed. And he talked to the media after being named the starter. And so we got this clip from Bama Online, and I really like this. Just hearing him talk about this, it is so mature, and it is something that I don't think I would have in my fourth year of college been this mature, but I think having gone through what he's done probably got him here. And also having worked with one of the best coaches of all time, because he talks about the advice that Nick Saban gave him that helped him get to this point.
You know, I've talked to Coach Saban a lot. You know, he always would tell me, you know, don't worry about the outside noise. Don't worry about external factors. Don't worry about anybody else. Just be the best you can be. And I really didn't understand that when I was a young guy. You know, I would always be worried about, you know, somebody else or somebody at, you know, a different type of school or whatever, or be looking somewhere else and, you know, be like, man, I could have played there or whatever. But, you know, he always kept saying, just focus on yourself, focus on the best you can be. And then, you know, when Coach Deboer came, he talked about going 1-0 and, you know, winners win because that's what winners do. And I had to sit back and, you know, pray about it and just think to myself, like, man, like, I got to do something. I can't keep going down this road of just, you know, worrying and having anxiety or whatever. So, you know, I sat back in my room one night and I was like, man, you know, I'm going to pray. I'm going to give everything I got to the Lord and just make sure I understand that, like, hey, that, you know, I'm just going to be the best player, the best Ty Simpson I can be. And I think, you know, these last couple of years, that's what I've really tried to do. Just make sure, like, hey, don't do anything fancy, man. Like, you know, even though it's the University of Alabama, just play football and just be the best version of yourself you can be.
He talked about a scrimmage a couple of years ago where he didn't play very much, and it was a spring scrimmage, and he comes home and he just starts crying. And he's like, what should I do? What should I do? And his dad told him, you know, to check in on your faith. Like, are you walking your faith? But I think the part he talked about with Nick Saban, where Nick Saban was always a person who said, don't worry about the opponent. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Worry about just dominating the next play, the next moment. And it really is a better way to live, but it's very hard when you're young to understand that. It's very hard to understand that the process is more important than the outcome, and that if the process is right, the outcome usually works out. But what you saw there is a fully formed adult who has gone through this stuff and learned this. And this is not me saying you shouldn't transfer if the situation's better for you. This is just Ty Simpson learned a very valuable life lesson here that I don't know that everybody's quite getting. And now he does get to be the starting quarterback at Alabama. The problem is sometimes it sucks and you don't win the job. But he did win the job. Well, and now he's getting to play with a loaded roster, and it's going to be fun to watch.
There's a piece of this that I think is the most overlooked. Okay. And I think I might have perpetuated it myself on this show tonight. Well, today as we're recording this. Andy, sometimes staying isn't the right decision because sometimes you're not good enough. And I think leaving. Or
sometimes somebody's so much better than you. Remember, Jalen Hurts had to leave Alabama.
So I think that, like, a lot of times too, when you talk about the virtues of staying and being loyal and the things in the Ty Simpson path and the Cade Klubnik path and hell, the Mac Jones path at Alabama that played out quite well for him. I think at times you can be loyal to a fault and stay at a place that you're not good enough to be at. And you have to be mature, and the coaches have to be real to tell people when they're not good enough. I think that if you leave because you're impatient for playing time, or you don't like the way you were coached in a practice, or whatever the other 1,000 reasons people leave when they're good enough are, I think that leaving when you're bad, like not bad, when you're not good enough, or when there's somebody better than you in the same situation, is actually prudent. So like, I think that like deciphering whether or not you're actually good enough is probably the hardest test of all, right? Looking in the mirror and deciding, hey, am I good enough to be here? Am I good enough to start? If I wait 2-3 years, am I Alabama good? Am I Georgia good? Am I Ohio State good? Or am I wherever you are, random you good? Or am I being a wuss? Or am I being selfish? Or am I being short-sighted or impatient, or whatever other word you want to use? Deciphering that is a personal journey that everybody has to get to. But it's also like, if you stay at a place that you're not good enough to play at because you want to be loyal to the place, and then your career ends up without you playing, then you were
Right. You didn't
play.
Yeah.
So like,
you didn't maximize your value, which is like another Nick Sabanism. You're supposed to maximize your value. And so
Andy, like what, like I could want to bench 500 pounds. Okay. And I can be loyal to that idea. And
it ain't going to happen. Exactly.
And there are certain things in life too. And I think that it's, as much as you want to hear the message of anybody can do anything, and, you know, chase your dreams and never say I can't, there are certain things that people physically can't do at places like this. And I'm happy that this worked out for Ty Simpson, and I'm happy it worked out for Mac Jones and the countless other people that lived in this example. And I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But like, the Arch Manning model is only good for people who are as good as Arch Manning. Like, it doesn't work for everybody. It only works.
If Ty Simpson is that good, or is good enough to lead Alabama to a national title, it worked out. It worked out.
It might not have been good enough for Devin Brown, who had to leave Ohio State because he was like,
yes,
you know, and does that mean he's a coward, or he didn't know? It just, he understood where he was on the food chain and where he could be on that food chain if he ate all the guppies at the bottom, and it still wouldn't be the biggest fish on that food chain. And it's okay. It doesn't mean he can't go be a good starting quarterback somewhere else, and he's going to try that this year. But there's a distinction there that you have to make.
I realize we're very quarterback heavy today, and we're yesterday as well. But it's fascinating. It's the most interesting position in sports. And let's shift to another quarterback situation. Another team that we think can compete for the national title, a team that played in the national title game last year and has a quarterback competition. I realize both teams that played the national title game last year have a quarterback competition, but the one that feels the hottest right now, that feels like we know the least, is Notre Dame. CJ Carr, presumed for most of the offseason to be the guy. Kenny Minchey flashed in the spring game a little bit. Steve Angeli leaves. And you're thinking, okay, what does this mean for Kenny Minchey? Now it looks like it's a very close competition. They have a scrimmage this weekend. I don't know if Marcus Freeman has any plans to name anybody, but Marcus Freeman does not strike me as the kind of guy who's going to just fart around and not name somebody, or, you know, send somebody out to take all the first team reps for 2 weeks of practice and expect it not to get out. So I think we're probably going to hear something sooner rather than later. And I am very intrigued to see where this winds up.
You know, you've been blowing my mind all week with things that I forgot. So let's try it again. When's the last time we spent an entire offseason presuming the starter will be somebody, and then that person lost a quarterback battle in the fall?
That's a good question. So, well, you covered the 2015 Ohio State QB situation, which was not this. That was a completely different situation, because you had a guy who had been the starter.
There was no presumption at all. Yeah,
there was no presumption. Nobody knew if it was going to be JT Barrett or Cardale Jones. I am trying to remember. I think there have been some cases where some freshmen wound up winning the job, but not like that. Not where there was all this hype and this presumption. Because remember,
Kenny Minchey actually won the job. That would be amongst some of the most shocking quarterback position battle results I can remember. No?
I guess it's interesting because we're so weird about this, you know, because it feels like and I guess the same thing with Julian Sain and Lincoln Keenholz at Ohio State. Like, we just discount the older guy. We're like, well, if he was that good, they would have already started him. These guys were all big time recruits. Like, everybody we're talking about was a big time recruit. It's not like they weren't good quarterbacks coming out of high school, or they're playing. Stetson Bennett was the odd situation. Now, he didn't win an opening day starting job. In fact, he had to just keep winning it after not starting opening day.
Yeah. And it's really, really hard to remember who we presumed would be the starter in the past. And we got a lot of emails, Andy, when we asked for crazy game ending emails that we forgot. Yeah. We're copied on a lot of the same emails, and they're all really good suggestions. I wonder if somebody could be like, yeah, I remember that time, like Oklahoma thought this guy was going to start all off. It'd be like if
yeah, we talked about this with George Stoya yesterday, but the Rhett Bomar situation, obviously Rhett Bomar was going to be Oklahoma's starting quarterback. Now, he got kicked off the team, so that was a different situation. But that threw the whole thing into chaos right before the season started. So I can't remember one, because it would have been to call back to Spencer Rattler. It would have been like if Lincoln Riley had decided Caleb Williams was going to start over Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. But even then, that would have been a 5-star.
Spencer Rattler had finished the previous season as the starter, so it wasn't. This job's open. Like, Riley Leonard was the guy. He graduated, and now it's open.
But this isn't even just like, people lose their jobs in the season all the time. It's the battle in their own camp before they play games that always is kind of dicey to me, because it's like, I always believe this, and a reporter told me this when I was first starting my career, and it just has always stood with me. He said, believe what the coaches do more than what they say. I think it's true.
100%.
And what Notre Dame did not, this wasn't a Kenny Menchie plan. So, and that doesn't mean he might not be the best. Maybe he's the best. I don't know. We'll find out, but it would be weird.
We feel that way? Did we think Alex Orji was going to win the job last year at Michigan, and then Davis Warren won it?
I'm thinking more of like highly rated recruit, incumbent, waited his turn. They don't go out and get a transfer. Like the table is set. Like, Orji was just like there because they didn't have anyone else.
But then but in this case, in Notre Dame's case, Minchie's the older guy. Yeah. He's been there longer than CJ Carr, 1 year longer, but 1 year longer.
Yeah. And did not come into the game last year.
Neither one did.
Yeah.
Steve Angeli did, and he's now at Syracuse waiting to see if Fran Brown's going to name him the starter.
Yeah. That would suck, by the way, for Angeli. I hope he wins the job.
But the thing is, if Kenny Minchie wins the Notre Dame job, it means he was already over Angeli on the depth chart when Angeli left.
Yeah. But I mean, Angeli would rather probably be a backup at Notre Dame than Syracuse, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or, yeah. But this is an interesting one because the intel here is making it feel like it's a real battle. And I know the intel at Ohio State is kind of in the same thing, but it doesn't feel that one's not a real competition.
You've seen reports out of Ohio State that Sayin was starting to distance himself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, they still haven't said anything definitive there either.
Win the job. This is the same exact level of surprise to me. This isn't
I would agree.
Kenny Minchie isn't good enough. This is a coach had a plan, a succession plan in order, and then veered off that succession plan because somebody else in camp that we didn't talk about at all in the offseason beat the incumbent in a fair and square battle in their own practice. I'm probably forgetting one, but that doesn't happen.
Oh, and there's the Kenny Minchie backflip from the spring game.
But that's why I think that Carr's going to start. That's why I think that Sayin's going to start, because what did the coaches do? What did they do?
Well, and also with Notre Dame, we can go back to Deuce Knight, who's now a freshman at Auburn, but he was committed to Notre Dame for a long time. It felt like he decommitted at about the same time this succession plan that we thought was in place was put in place, but maybe it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, I'm all for August quarterback battle drama. I mean, I'm happy that we'll be tracking this, but I don't think that Menchie's going to win the job just based on Marcus Freeman's route and avenue.
I don't know. I think there's a chance. And There's enough smoke now that it feels like there's a real chance that Minchie wins it. We may have an answer by the time we do Monday's show. That's what's so interesting to me, Ari, is we may get the answer to this thing.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be a week before situation. So, I don't think that that's the way to do it. As I voiced on Tuesday, I don't anticipate that that's what's going to happen here either.
My thing is, once you've turned the page to prep for your opening day opponent, once you've stopped working on yourself and you've started working on the game plan, you better know who's your QB1.
Also, just a random aside that's about football, believe it or not. Like, why wouldn't LSU spend the entire fall camp preparing for Clemson? It's such a big game. Like, why don't you spend? I never understood the wait till the week before thing. Like, I would install
to make sure that everybody knows what they are supposed to do.
I know.
In their offense and their defense,
and we got to know I get it.
Yeah, but that's all it is. It's making sure that everybody learned the offense if they're playing offense, and everybody learned the defense if they're playing defense, before you then turn it to the scout teamers running the other team's plays.
Yeah.
That's really it. It's knowing as an offensive lineman, knowing all your rules.
Yeah. But I guess maybe that's the idea of like having a veteran team. Maybe you don't have to do that as much because you have more players that know what they're doing.
Correct. And Notre Dame in that situation, with the exception of the QB, has a lot of veterans on that team.
I'm just saying LSU better be ready. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Clemson.
Well, yeah. That Clemson D line is going to be nasty, and that is an LSU offensive line where the guys are going to be in new roles and learning on the job, and that's a tough group to learn on the job against. But Ari, I think I sent their credential request in, so I think we can say it. This is the game we're planning to go to week 1. LSU and Clemson.
Too, right?
How excited are you?
You put mine in, right? Because I didn't.
No, just me.
Okay, well then I'll just hang out in Atlanta and go to what's the strip club with the wings? Magic City.
Magic City.
I have no interest in the women. I just have a lot of interest in the wings because apparently they're really good. I've never had them.
Lou Williams has his own style of wings.
Have you had them? You strike me as a person that would have eaten it.
I'm not a strip club guy. Am a wing guy though, so probably should go anyway.
That's what I'm saying. I've got no interest in the girls. I've got all interest in the buffalo wings. Like I don't care about the girls.
Yeah, I maybe we do a field trip and get some lemon pepper wings at Magic City the next time the two of us are playing together.
Window, and you can get it on Uber Eats too. I don't know if you know that. I know these things.
I didn't know that.
But yes, this was my number one game. And I do have some remorse about the Arch Manning mania that we're not going to be, but we'll be watching it with everybody else. You know, you don't have to be in the building to see it. This to me is this is the juiciest game of the first week. Too many storylines. You got coaches storylines, you got quarterback storylines, you've got all sorts of things to look forward to. No matter what the result is, people are going to freak out. Nobody's going to freak out at the result of the Texas-Ohio State game.
And this is why we picked Florida-Miami last year.
Yes.
That's exactly why I picked Florida-Miami last year, and it didn't disappoint.
Because we don't want to argue in the press box about who gets to write a good column. We both get it, no matter what.
You get a good one no matter what. Exactly. So
nobody loses. But yeah, I'm excited. I've actually never been to a game at Clemson, so and I've been to 100,000 at Ohio State. So this is great. I'm excited.
It's a very cool experience. And
I've never been to Clemson in general. I've only driven through South Carolina on the way to a road trip to see my now wife. I drove from Columbus to Fort Lauderdale to see her once.
Clemson is a beautiful town.
Like I was on Dateline NBC or something. What was that show? Chris Hansen was not there when I got there.
You like the astronaut who wore the Depends?
Yeah.
To drive to see the man who wasn't her husband but had a wife?
There is no distance that a desperate man will not drive for a woman. Trust me, I've done this multiple times.
I know. My wife and I were 8 hours apart for the first year we were together. And I lived in Knoxville and she lived in Gainesville. You actually don't have to get off I-75. It's the whole way. And I can tell you every exit in Georgia on I-75. You want to know where every Chick-fil-A and on I-75 in Georgia is? I can name the exits.
Andy found a website that tells you like the best food stops for road trips. And I have sad confession, I've never used it. Like I kind of just do the exciting, because I like to get excited every time I'm on the highway. It's like, ooh, there's a sign for food. What's it going to be? I don't know. You never know what it's going to be. Although there's 12.
But see, that's the thing. If I'm driving on I-75 in Georgia, I know exactly what it's going to be. Like exit 62 in Tifton is the best exit in South Georgia.
Yeah,
the
but
best.
There
it's
are
not
certain,
even close.
There are certain God exits that have every restaurant imaginable.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, you want Arby's or Buffalo Wild Wings or anything in between. And it's great.
Actually, I-95, the stretch that goes through Georgia, exit 104 is that exit. If you'd like, if you're curious,
you know what I've been thinking a lot about?
Pooler, Georgia.
How good the food was at that gas station that you and I stopped at in Wisconsin on the way to the draft.
Oh my God, yes.
And I don't remember.
It's Quick Trip, but they spell it differently. So it's not the Quick Trip that is the large chain that you see in Atlanta and Kansas City and Dallas. It's QWIK Trip. Beautiful station. Incredible food. What was the sample we got? We got breadsticks with cheese with melted cheese in them.
No, it was like high quality stuff
and like chicken tenders.
They were so good that we thought about Uber Eatsing them to the house after the draft from the gas station. Have you ever ordered Uber Eats from gas station food? I haven't.
I haven't either, but I was sorely tempted that day.
Yeah.
Sorely tempted.
Yeah, as you should.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. So do we have another topic or is that it? I can't remember. I blacked out.
No, I'm too hungry to think now. No, we don't, but I think the quarterbacks are going to continue to be a topic. I do want to tell everybody for Friday's show, dear Andy, dear Ari, we do want to hear from you. You've already been sending in a bunch of good questions, but in case you do have a question for us, anything we've said during the week that has touched a nerve, if you can think of a quarterback situation where we assumed one guy was going to win all summer and then lo and behold, somebody else won, by all means, remind us. Andy Staples on3@gmail.com, Ari.Wasserman at on3.com. Send us your emails. We love them. It is our listeners, viewers, readers, so smart, love this sport so much. And I just get a kick every time. Like some of these crazy ending emails that you've sent have been so much fun to go down memory lane. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got your Michigan State fans sending the trouble with the snap ones just to poke the Michigan fans. It's there are so many. One person the other day sent the cock block, which is Jarvis Moss blocking Ryan Succop's kick at the end of the 2006 Florida South Carolina game. So I was on the field when that happened, and on the sideline waiting to interview people after the game. It's the loudest I've ever heard a stadium.
Yeah. And we actually have a lot backed up too. Like if we don't respond to your email, don't take it as us not reading it. We read all of them, and there's a lot of really good questions. And if we don't get to you or your question this week, then we'll get to it next or whatever. But keep trying too. Like if we don't answer it,
a lot of times it might not fit into what we're talking about that week. But send it because I love hearing from you guys, and I love the way you guys think. And we are so close now. So, Ari, this is Wednesday. We got 2 more shows this week. A week from Saturday, we got Farmageddon in Ireland. We got Kansas, Fresno State after that.
Electricity. I can't wait.
It's going to be amazing.
Can't wait to get back into the season, man. We're right around the corner.
All right. Send us those emails. We'll talk to you on Thursday.